What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video here on B-Mills Wrestling. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions on who will dethrone every current champion in WWE. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss any new videos. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. First champion we're going to be talking about is the undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes. I think that John Cena will be the one to dethrone Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41 in the main event. I have a really tough time predicting this match. I keep going back and forth on who I think is going to win it, just because I feel like it makes sense for Cody Rhodes to win, just because, if you're John Cena, you want to put over the new babyface of the company, as John Cena is the old babyface of the company, so that would make sense. But I just think, turning John Cena heel, you have to take advantage of it. You have to put the title on him and give him his record-breaking 17-time World Championship. So I think John Cena is the one to beat Cody Rhodes, and, not to mention he could also have an incredible title run going into the summer. There's just so many dream opponents, and some matches we've already seen with John Cena, like CM Punk and AJ Styles and Seth Rollins, people like that. We just want to see John Cena go on an absolute tear in the summer and have an incredible title run. It's obviously already been rumored that John Cena versus Randy Orton at Backlash is going to be the match. Randy Orton obviously is on the poster. It's in St. Louis, his hometown. John Cena's advertised for Backlash, so that seems more than likely that it's going to happen, but I doubt it'll happen without the title. So I do think that John Cena will defeat Cody Rhodes, but it might ultimately end up in, Cody Rhodes winning the title back eventually from John Cena. For the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther, I think that he will also be dethroned at WrestleMania by main event Jey Uso. Jey Uso, obviously the winner of this year's Royal Rumble. Very controversial win, but I think with Jey Uso being 0-3 against Gunther in previous matches, and one of them being for the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event, you cannot have Jey Uso lose for a fourth time against Gunther at WrestleMania, especially since you had Jey Uso have this kind of controversial win, and he won it over guys like Seth Rollins, CM Punk, John Cena, all people that fans wanted to win the Royal Rumble. So you definitely cannot have Jey Uso lose this match, especially after how this match has been built with Gunther, beating up and bloodying Jey Uso, or Jimmy Uso, I should say, and, just torturing his family, torturing Jey Uso every week, putting him in a sleeper. There's no way that Jey Uso loses this match. I think that they're going to do it in the same style that the Sami Zayn versus Gunther match was last year, and how Jey Uso is the underdog of the match, and it's going to look like he can't keep up with Gunther. He's going to lose, and then he's going to kick out of a ton of finishers, and then ultimately end up winning the World Heavyweight Championship, and then having the entire crowd just yeeting with him. Moving over to the women's division now, we have Io Sky defending her Women's World Championship in a triple threat match against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and I think that she will also lose her title at WrestleMania to Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is undefeated at WrestleMania, and I think that WWE is going to make sure she stays undefeated. And I think that a heel turn is coming from Bianca Belair. I've mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. I think that she is due for a character change. She's been a babyface her entire time on the main roster, so I think it's time to shake things up, give her a heel turn, and do it during the match. She's already been getting booed by every crowd for every Raw she's been on, with every segment that they've had of these three women. So you don't really have a heel in this triple threat match, and you could argue that it's Rhea Ripley, but no fan is going to boo Rhea Ripley. It's just the facts. So I think it is the correct time to pull the trigger on a Bianca Belair heel turn. I know that she's considered the John Cena of the women's division. John Cena just turned heel, so why not do it with Bianca Belair? And, it could be a great heel turn. I think she can work really well as a heel, and then you could transition into the story where she was behind the Jade Cargill attack all along, her and Naomi coming together as this heel tag team again, but Bianca as the world champion, and then you could lean towards Bianca versus Jade Cargill at SummerSlam for the Women's World Championship. I think there's a lot of material they can work with, a lot of storylines they can do with a heel Bianca Belair. So, as sad as it is for me to say, I think Io's going to lose, because I want Io to retain at WrestleMania. She is one of my favorite wrestlers in the company right now, and I think she's the most talented female wrestler in the company. And obviously her title run kind of just started. She just beat Rhea Ripley for that title about a month ago. So it does suck that I believe that it's going to end at WrestleMania. Hopefully she can stay in the world title picture, maybe get a rematch. But I do think Bianca Belair is going to be the one to dethrone her for the championship. As for the other women's champion, the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton, I think that she will be dethroned by Naomi. I don't know when this would exactly be. Maybe SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, sometime in the summer. I think that this heel character of Naomi has been excellent so far. It's really exceeded my expectations. The promos she's cut, just all the character work. She's just done such an amazing job. And she hasn't obviously held a title in WWE in quite some time, a world championship that is. And obviously she had some matches for the world title in 2024 and in 2025, but lost those matches. And I just think as a heel, she would make a great champion and the perfect person, in my opinion, to dethrone Tiffany Stratton. If you're going to continue with a babyface Tiffany Stratton after WrestleMania, then you obviously need a heel to beat her. And I think the right heel to do that is Naomi. I know there's a lot of people saying Charlotte should be the one to defeat Tiffany at WrestleMania. I just don't think they should do that. I think that Charlotte Flair, at this point of her career, needs to put over the younger talent like she put over Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39. I think she needs to do the same thing with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is the up-and-comer. She is the future of women's wrestling in WWE. I think that she must win this match and go on to hold the title throughout the summer and just have an incredible title run, right? I don't think Charlotte needs that win whatsoever. And for the amount of new champions that I think we're going to get at WrestleMania, I'm going to get into more of them as this video goes on. I think you have to have a few people retain, and I think Tiffany Stratton is one of those people who will retain at WrestleMania, but then go on to lose to Naomi in the near future. Shifting back over to the men's division now, we're going to be talking about Bron Breakker and his Intercontinental Championship. I think that Bron Breakker will be dethroned at WrestleMania by Dominic Mysterio. We know that this Fatal 4-Way is Bron Breakker versus Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor versus Penta. This is an incredible match that could steal the show, and I do think we will have a new Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. I am so for it. Obviously, they've had Penta stand tall last week. They've had Braun stand tall. They've had Finn stand tall. They've never had Dom stand tall, and they're kind of putting him in the dark. I think they want all of us to not expect him to win and have either Braun retain or Finn or Penta become the new champion. But I think that it's all a big swerve. I think Dom will be the new Intercontinental Champion come WrestleMania, and I am so here for it. I think that him and Liv, both as champions at the same time, is going to be a sight to see. I've been waiting for Dom to get a title on the main roster. I didn't think it would come as soon as WrestleMania, and obviously it could not happen. It might not happen, but I think it will. I think he's due for a title run. He's an incredible worker, incredible wrestler, incredible heel. Obviously gets booed all the time, and I just think he's due for a big-time title run in the mid-card division. And as for Bron Breakker losing his title at WrestleMania, I know a lot of people are going to be upset with that, but I think that, especially over these last few months as champion, he's proven that he has elevated himself higher than the mid-card division. I think that he is ready for the main event scene, whether that's the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship. I think post-WrestleMania, he should be going after those titles just because of the stardom that he has and the aura that he has, and just being an incredible wrestler. So that's my opinion for Bron Breakker, and I do think that Dominic Mysterio is going to win this match by pinning Finn Balor, or Finn Balor is going to hit his finisher on Bron Breakker, and then Dom is going to throw Finn out of the ring and pin Bron Breakker. Either way, I have Dominic Mysterio winning this match at WrestleMania. Now we're going to go over to SmackDown and talk about the United States Champion, LA Knight. LA Knight, obviously, now a two-time United States Champion, just recently won the title back off of Shinsuke Nakamura on an episode of SmackDown. And I think that LA Knight is going to be dethroned at WrestleMania by Jacob Fatu. I know that I have a lot of people losing their titles at WrestleMania, but I just think that's the reality. I think that WWE is ready to give Jacob Fatu a massive push. He's been so over with the crowd, even as a heel. He is an incredible wrestler, has great and underrated mic skills. He's the full package, and I think that they wanted Solo in this type of position come this WrestleMania, but Jacob Fatu has just outshined Solo in every aspect, and rightfully so, getting his flowers in a singles match at WrestleMania for a championship. And I know there's a lot of people saying that Solo Sikoa is going to get involved and cost Jacob Fatu. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think it'll eventually happen, but I think it'll be after he's already champion. So post WrestleMania, and then maybe lead to a SummerSlam program between them two. But I think that Jacob Fatu is going to beat LA Knight clean at WrestleMania. I hope they can have a good match. The storyline hasn't been too good between those two, but I really do hope that Jacob Fatu can win the United States Championship and then just go on a massive title run and just storm through the mid-card division, kind of like Gunther did with the IC championship. He held the title for 666 days. I feel like they can do a similar thing with Jacob Fatu being the United States United States champion. So I do hope that they do that. And as for LA Knight, kind of like Braun Breaker, you could elevate him to the main event scene as well. Obviously, the fans are still very much behind him. He hasn't lost any steam, so they could do that. But I don't feel like they would. I feel like they would keep him in the mid card, but anything could happen. But at the end of the day, I do think Jacob Fatu is your next United States champion. Back over to the women's division now, we're going to be talking about the women's United States champion, that being Chelsea Green. I think that Chelsea Green will be dethroned at some point by Zelina Vega. They have not done a good job of booking Chelsea Green with this United States championship at all. She fought Mi Chin, I think, like 5 times, and that storyline just got so dry and boring, and we wanted new things. And now we're getting this feud with Zelina Vega, but it just hasn't been all that. And she just recently lost a match due to countout that apparently wasn't supposed to happen. The mid-card itself for the women is just a mess right now. I've mentioned that before. And I do think Zelina Vega is the one to take this title off of Chelsea Green. Really only because I don't know who else is an option. I just don't know. I don't see anyone else doing it. So I think that it'll be Zelina Vega. I think it'll be after WrestleMania because we know Chelsea's not going to be on the WrestleMania card. And it just goes to show they haven't booked the mid-card titles well enough because Lyra, who we'll get into, isn't defending her title at Mania. She is on the card. And then Chelsea's not on the card at all. After being one of the most over female superstars in the company, I think it's a slap on the face. They just haven't booked her well enough. But I do think that Zelina Vega has been, doing some better work ever since she returned and, has been a singles character on SmackDown, moving away from the LWO. So I think that she will be the one to defeat Chelsea Green. Now let's talk about Lyra Valkyria. As for Lyra Valkyria, she is not defending her women's IC title on WrestleMania either, but she is involved in a tag match with Bayley going against Raquel and Liv Morgan for the tag team championships, which is really random. I don't agree with that at all. I think that was just an excuse to throw them on the card and say that they were on WrestleMania. But as for who dethrones Lyra Valkyria, I've had a really tough time with this one. I was thinking that maybe Becky Lynch was an option, but now she just came out and said that she's not returning anytime soon, so I don't think that she's going to be the one. And I do think it is going to be Bayley that dethrones Lyra Valkyria. And this might be somewhat of a hot take, but I think the way they can twist this story of this WrestleMania match that they have, the tag team match that has no storyline, the way they can make it better is if they have Lyra and Bayley lose to Liv and Raquel, which should happen, by the way. They should not be tag team champions. And then you have Bayley turn on Lyra Valkyria after the match. We've already seen Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria twice, both incredible matches, and they're 1-1 so far. So I think they're due for that trilogy, and I think it's going to be a heel Bayley versus a babyface Lyra, maybe at Backlash, or just an episode of SmackDown, but I would like that match at Backlash. And I think Bayley would be the one to take the title off of her. Maybe she loses it back to Lyra in the near future, but I think Bayley just needs a character change. I think she needs to go back to being a heel because she has been so boring, in my opinion, as a babyface. So I think that's the right direction, and I do think that Bayley will be the one to dethrone Lyra Valkyria. Moving over to the tag team division now, we're going to be talking about the Raw Tag Team Champions, the World Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders. I had a really tough time picking a tag team to dethrone them because the tag division on Raw is super bad. With SmackDown, you have a ton of options. With Raw, there really isn't any. When you talk about the War Raiders, they're a babyface team. So a heel team is going to be the one to dethrone them, most likely. And the two heel teams on Raw right now are the Judgment Day and the New Day. And with the Judgment Day, they were the previous tag team champions. The reign was awful. And now you have Dom and Finn in the Intercontinental title picture. JD McDonough's still out with an injury. So they're out of the picture. So that leaves us really with just the New Day. And I really don't want the New Day to be the ones to dethrone them, but I do think that the New Day are the team to dethrone the War Raiders. And I think it'll happen at WrestleMania. I know a lot of people have been talking about a Big E return at WrestleMania to cost the New Day, whether that's an in-ring return, which I doubt, or just him, doing something to cost them the titles at WrestleMania. But there's really not any other option to go to unless you debut a tag team. I just think the New Day are the only realistic team to take the titles off of the War Raiders, and I think that they're going to do that at WrestleMania, just because I don't think that they're going to do this match for a third time after WrestleMania, because we've already seen it once, ending in a DQ, leading to this WrestleMania match. I think this will be the last time that they fight each other with the War Raiders as the tag team champions. maybe the Warriors get a rematch after WrestleMania. But I think the New Day are the team that will dethrone them, whether people like it or not. And, I haven't been a real big fan of their heel turn. I feel like they just kind of blew it. Like, their promos every week have been stale. They've been just the same thing over and over. And they haven't been able to do anything more than that. So I don't really think that they deserve the tag team championships, but I think that they're the only realistic option to take the titles off of the War Raiders. On the other hand, the SmackDown tag division has been booked excellently throughout the year, and we've really had like 5 to 6 teams incorporated into this tag division, and they've all been intertwined with each other and working so well with each other. Triple H has just done an amazing job with them, and as for who dethrones the Street Profits, right now I'm going to say that it's going to be Carmelo Hayes and The Miz, which might be a hot take. They're a newly formed tag team that still haven't had a tag team match together, or they might have had one match together, but I think that they will be the ones to take the titles off of the Street Profits, just because when I look at the landscape, I look at DIY, they've already had 2 tag title runs. Motor City Machine Guns, they already had a title run. Pretty Deadly could be a sleeper, but I don't think that they will be the ones to take the titles off of the Street Profits. And then Las Garzas, I think, will end up disbanding. I think Berto might get a singles push or join forces with Andrade, something like that. So I think that it will be Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. They've already had an interaction with the Street Profits in the backstage area, talking about how they want next. I don't know if it'll happen as soon as, their first match together. But I do think that they are the right team to take the titles off them. And really just anything to put a title on Carmelo Hayes, I am happy with. I wanted him to be the United States champion, either at some point before WrestleMania or win it at WrestleMania. Obviously, that's not happening. Disappointed about that. But, hopefully him working with The Miz can just take his game to the next level and, get to see Carmelo Hayes and The Miz be tag team champions in 2025. I think they've worked well with each other so far with the little gimmick that they're doing. The catchphrases have been funny. So I could see this happening. And like I said, I don't really see any other option right now, just because some of the other tag teams either already had title runs, or they're disbanding, or they're just not ready yet. But I think that Carmelo Hayes and The Miz are the perfect team to take the titles off of the Street Profits. And finally, that brings us to our final championship, which is the Women's Tag Team Championships, which are currently being held by Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day. They obviously won these titles a little while back off of Naomi and Bianca. They will be defending the titles at WrestleMania against Lyra and Bayley. I do not think that they will lose these titles there. I think that it is the right move to make them retain at WrestleMania. And as of right now, the women's tag division is a mess. Similarly to the women's mid-card, it just hasn't been booked well. We've seen tag teams be off screen for way too long, like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. And then we've kind of had just random tag teams formed of Natalia and Maxine Dupree, B-Fab and Mi Chin. So it's all over the place right now, and I don't really know who will be the ones to dethrone Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez at this time, but I am going to predict that it will be the Kabuki Warriors reuniting and returning from injury to take the titles off of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez sometime after WrestleMania, whether that's Backlash, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, something like that. Maybe even just on an episode of Raw. But I think they are the right team to take the titles off of them. We haven't seen them in quite some time, obviously dealing with injuries. But you have Io, who's in the world title picture. She's obviously the world champion. Dakota Kai's been in the mix for the women's IC title. So that leaves them kind of with nothing if they return, right? So the way that they can book them properly is if you put them back into the tag division. And even if that's not having the full Damage Control group again, if you just have them two as a tag team, I think that's phenomenal. They're both incredible workers, great in-ring talent. So I would like this, and then have them return as baby faces. We obviously haven't seen them in quite some time, but just looking at the landscape of the women's tag division, similarly to the Raw tag division, it was really hard for me to pick out a team. But if I had to pick one, I think it is the Kabuki Warriors that will be the ones to take the tag titles off of Liv and Raquel. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. If you guys want to go check out my TikTok, I'm going to link that in the description. Post daily reaction videos to Raw and SmackDown, as well as all other things WWE. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.